My name is Jess Hinshaw. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm an artist. Printmaking. I've been here in Korea for 3 months now. And I just got finished with my art show here at GIC. Okay, the art show is called Media Machine, and it's 13 works that are dealing with the relationship we have with news media and how we deal with that, and how we get information and who gives us that information. There we go. I started working on work about relationships, and this was mostly very deeply personal work on relationships with the opposite sex, usually very messy relationships. Find these people out of magazines and start doing these prints, and then overlay these kind of tragic pictures on top of them. This one, I mean, is the couple, and then on top is a figure that's ready, contemplating jumping off of a 4th-story building. But again, it's always been about relationships for me. This is another one with a car crash on top. Art really became an outlet for me, and a way for me to vent and really talk about what was occupying my mind at the time. At this time, it was these really sloppy relationships, but that's kind of changed a lot. It's not something that I knew I would work with later, but at the time, I was working with all of these images coming from magazines and coming from sources of media, and of these ideas of beauty, and also these ideas of people and how they get along, how they interact. And it was always easy for me to do art. I always had a lot of support, and from my parents and from friends, and so I really had this, I think, sometimes a unique opportunity to work on exactly what I wanted to work on and express everything I wanted to express. And even though at first I thought it was maybe too personal, I found that a lot of people connected with this sort of stuff. These are all prints. These are all of these are monotypes with drawings on top of them. And printmaking is something that I've stayed with throughout my career, I guess if you want to call it a career. But I like printmaking because of the predictability of it. I like the process of it. It's one of those mediums that if you follow the steps, you get the correct result every time. Painting, on the other hand, is another story. It's something I'm not really comfortable with. It's so unpredictable for me. Even though I have some paintings in this show, it's not something that I'm really too good with. Or I don't like it. I like knowing what's going to happen. And I started coupling that figure with images from media, like directly from advertisements, from catalogs, or printed material, newspapers, anything where there's these kind of images that we're supposed to see as a type of reality. I think as far as advertising goes, we have to kind of contend with this imagery all of the time, whether we choose to or not. If we see information we see in advertisement, we have to filter it, we have to think about it. Once something's presented as true, even if it's an outrageous idea, still it remains true until someone says that it isn't. And so I'm just trying to pull people from those types of advertisements and from these kind of seductive places, and try to create much more of a realistic interaction between us, the masked figure, and advertising. These are all about 24, let's see, that would be 56, they're about this big. As big as the sheets on the back of the wall there. So these are sort of big. Now, I really like doing those pieces, but I wanted to push the idea of environment further because I wanted really, again, I did want this to be about our relationship with these pieces and pulling the static image out of its environment, out of the printed page, changed it a lot. It changes it when it's on a gallery wall. So instead of pulling those figures out of the paper or out of the magazine, I started putting the figure into the paper, into the magazine, into its environment, putting us into that environment. I think that's what advertising is often trying to do, put us into their environment, kind of showing us an idealized reality that's not really reality at all. Now these are a little bit smaller, and in fact I started printing these out on small glossy magazine paper and literally inserting them into magazines, and that's how I would display the work. Just put a table out with magazines opened up to these, or so. Now this brings us to the work I'm working on now. I'm working with a few different things right now. Pills is one of the big things that I'm working on. And I think this pill is a very basic, at its most basic, a metaphor for a lie. I think lies we get constantly through printed media, through television, through any news source that we get. And it's not just maybe such an easy black and white lie, but I think we're misled a lot, and things are hidden or things are said in a way that is easy to digest and also to kind of numb what's real. So I started doing all these different sized pills. This is actually the pill from the postcard, but this was again, this was a print. It's a wood cut, or it's a linoleum cut, but just kind of scanned in, shrunk in, put down, coupled together. I'm also started thinking about these pills as ammunition. When you see this, when you see the news or read the news story, I mean, some of these words, they go right to the source, and they get these kind of short, controlled bursts. If you think about the way that politicians speak now on television and they address the public, they're really saying things in very short, concise bursts so that we get a soundbite, not the whole story, not a full, elaborate explanation. We get short little things that they can play back in news broadcasts. And I think of that just like a gun. It's quick, it's to the point, and could be painful too, but now instead of bullets we have these pills. They're giving us quick to the point and forget about it. Everything's okay. This one's called Go Back to Bed. I don't have this one with me. This is supposed to be an animation. What I'm trying to do right now is bring the masked figure and the pills and politicians, all of that together, because I think advertising and politics and news media, all of those, they have a very symbiotic relationship because they both work together. And I think they work together in making it very difficult for us to know the whole story about everything. So, again, about this environment and now how we relate to this stuff, I wanted to make a video, an animation, and show this on TV or on some place where it's in its environment, where we relate to it in kind of the normal way instead of in here where it's very different. I haven't really figured out how to do animation yet very well, and so I just have a really short sample of what I'm working on, but maybe I can pull it up, or you can, do you remember where it is? Okay. All right. So I've really, if you see the piece, you'll understand, you'll see where I'm going with this, but I want these pills to be kind of spraying out this guy's mouth. I really love how he kind of shapeshifts too. This is slowed down a little bit, but you can really see how the face, even though it's not that intentional, really changes a lot. So it can kind of be a lot of different people talking. And I want that masked face, that kind of nameless, generic person to be listening to this. And very dictator-like. I just found this is a random clip online. And this guy is just, I thought it was really perfect. So this is all just done on a little tablet, electronic tablet animation. That's about 400 frames. So 400 different drawings to see how little you get out of that. But that's really all I've got to say. I'm really glad you guys showed up. Thank you so much for coming. And then I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have.
이번에 프레젠테이션 보면서 작가님의 많은 그림들을 감상할 수 있었는데요. 프레젠테이션에서 작가님이 많이 애니메이션이나 아니면 그림 아니면 그 판화 같은 거를 이용해서 그림을 다양하게 그리셨더라고요. 근데 다양한 기법을 이용해서 그림을 그린 것이 좋았고요. 인바이러먼트에 중점을 둬가지고 그림을 마스크를 씌워가지고 그린 것에 대해서도 깊은 인상을 받을 수 있었어요.
So today's presentation was about Jess Hinshaw's art, and I thought it was a really insightful talk, and I learned a lot about how he does his art and what his art is speaking to, and I really enjoyed it. So I hope his art can stay in the gallery for a while and it comes back again later.